Someone recently asked me this question: if my baby has an HIE brain injury at birth, how can that have not been because of medical malpractice? That's a fair question. And when your baby is injured, especially with something as serious as HIE that could lead to a potential CP diagnosis, it's natural to assume that someone had to have done something wrong. Something had to have happened during labor or delivery, something that you never saw coming. And now your baby has been diagnosed with HIE, and the doctors are saying that there may be a potential CP diagnosis on the horizon. If you're trying to make sense out of all of this and you want answers with it, one of the biggest questions that we have in cases like this is whether the medical team had noticed that something was going wrong before the injury occurred. That is critical to understand. Notice is what we're looking for when we're investigating these cases. That's one of the things that we're looking at. It means that the doctors or the nurses, they had enough information in front of them to recognize that the baby was in trouble. It could come from the fetal heart monitor, it could come from how labor was moving and progressing, or it could come from how your baby was responding to the interventions. In HIE cases, one of the most important sources of notice can be from the fetal heart monitor. The strip is supposed to show how the baby is handling labor. It can give the medical team a running and real-time view of the baby's heart rate patterns, how the baby is responding to contractions, and whether these patterns are reassuring or not. If the monitor is showing a baby that is in distress, the expectation is that the team is going to respond. That may mean, more frequent checks. It may mean stopping the Pitocin, or it also can mean calling for a C-section if the strip is showing that that is warranted. But here is where things can get hard. Sometimes the monitor can look fine right up until the moment of something catastrophic happening. And at other times, there are warning signs that went on unrecognized or brushed off as something that you just didn't need to worry about. If the strip is clearly showing that the baby was in distress and no one acted, that's a situation where the law might consider that that negligence happened. But if no one had any real opportunity to intervene before the injury happened, then the law might see it as a non-preventable event. And that's a hard thing to hear, especially when you're looking at your child and you're trying to understand, how did all of this happen? What happened with all of this? I talk to families who feel like they were never told that anything went wrong. They trusted the team. They assumed that if something dangerous was happening, that somebody in the medical team would have caught it. And then when they go back and they read the records, it says that everything looked normal until the very end. But then you're left wondering, well, how could that have been? How can everything look fine and suddenly your baby isn't breathing, or has no tone, or needs to be cooled, or is suffering from seizures, among other things? This is why that notice is so important in these cases, because the law doesn't focus on how bad the outcome is. It's looking at whether something could have been done to stop it. And unless there was enough information available to raise concerns during labor, unless someone had a fair chance to act and didn't, it may be really hard to move forward with negligence. That doesn't make what happened any less devastating, but it does change how the law might look at this situation. If you're trying to make sense of what happened, the fetal monitor is usually going to be where you're going to start to try to find the truth. Not just what it showed, but when it showed it and how did the medical team respond to what they saw. Because in these cases, timing isn't just about medical decision making, it's about whether there was a moment someone could have changed the outcome and they missed it. That is where the legal questions can live in these cases, in that space between the warning sign and the response, or if there was just silence when it comes to everything. Again, I'm Marcus Boston, and if you have any questions about your baby's HIE brain injury at birth or subsequent CP diagnosis from a medical legal standpoint, don't hesitate to reach out and contact me. You can find out more information about me in my profile. My information is there. If you're watching this video on certain apps, you can send me a DM and we could chat a little bit about what you've got going on with your baby's case, or you can just wait and watch the picture that follows the end of this video. All right, that's going to be it for this evening's quick educational video. Have a great evening, everybody.